There's nothing worse than a person who's wallowing in their misery because they've been abandoned. And if you're here watching me, it's probably for the same reason. Look, abandonment has roots far deeper than most of us are even willing to acknowledge. And, the reason I'm here is not only for, hey, posterity, I guess, but so that you can have the liberty of walking the same path, of getting out of your hole with a person who just got out of there. I'm not on the top of my plateau jumping out screaming that I'm a Superman, because I'm not. I did find peace, and I found it quickly. I've walked this so-called abandonment path more than once in my life, and most of us do. Everybody knows what heartbreak is like. It sucks. But the first time that I truly experienced heartbreak, abandonment, I checked out. I literally checked out. I got on a plane, I left the country, and I went to go live like a nomad in Egypt outside of the Valley of the Kings for several months. And all that shit afforded me was to return to the United States a broken man. Broken. Broken. Luckily, first of all, I barely made it out with my life. And luckily I came back and found somebody else shortly thereafter and started a new life. And it's almost like I'm repeating this shit in cycles. So recently the same thing just happened to me again, 15-year cycles. And it happened to me again. And, within a matter of 24 hours, I said to myself, I got to change. And, I hear this voice in my head that I hadn't heard in decades. It said, you know what, Renee, you can't change for the well-being of another person. I knew what that meant. I knew exactly what that meant. So you're not going to change and get anybody back. You're not going to change and change things. You got to do it for yourself. And right then and there, I remembered about that first time, about being in Egypt, sitting up on that rooftop at night, because I'd sleep for days. I wouldn't come out during the daytime, and I'd come out up on a rooftop. The rooftop was made out of palm fronds and mud. Awesome. And I'd watch the belt of Orion, a constellation, if you have no idea what I'm talking about. And I'd watch it go from east to west, actually from west to east, night after night, thinking that somehow something was going to magically change. And you know what? It didn't. It didn't change. I came back broken, started another relationship. Here I am 15 years later in the same situation. And, I told myself I'm not going to go through this again. I can't. I can't afford to go through this again. So I decided to contract my higher mind, because this is what this is about, really. Because you can be going through heartbreak, massive loss, you lost a business, whatever it is that you've lost. The only way that you're going to regain your composure quickly is through your higher mind. Because the only other way is by letting time heal that wound. And for most of us, you're going to be collecting Social Security by the time that happens. So I started meditating, point blank. Started meditating again. I say again because it isn't the first time that I've done that. I started meditating. And you see, meditation has the ability to help you connect to your higher self. Right now, all of us are running on our basically our lower minds, which is stacked to the brim with stress, with everyday issues. And the lower mind doesn't have any power to discern, and we act like it does. It doesn't. Lower mind is basically there to add two and two together, and that's it. The higher mind has the ability to perceive, discern. But we've grown up with so much noise in our lives that by the time we reach adulthood, and when I say adulthood, I'm not talking older like me, I'm talking 18 years old, you're already a fabrication of the environment around you, whether it's social media, your friends' stupid comments and their mannerisms, or just anything, any garbage that we've fed into our minds. That is the person who you are. Your higher mind has the ability to expose to you who you truly are, and you do that through meditation. So back to the subject, because you're probably wondering, how the hell am I going to get over this heartbreak quickly like this guy's talking about? You start meditating. Your higher mind is going to start exposing to you and guiding you as to what you need to do, where you need to go, what you need to start listening to. And look, I'm not going to paint this to you in a rosy picture and say that you're going to sit in a lotus position and see the flower power, because you're not, man. You're going to see who you truly are, and you may not like it at first, but you're going to understand what it is that your higher mind is showing you, every ugly aspect about you and every beautiful one as well. So you start with meditation. And look, don't go in there thinking that you're going to do a 4-hour meditation session like some monk who's locked up in a mountain somewhere in the mountains of Tibet. You know, it doesn't work like that. You start with 5 minutes. The truth is, most of us can't even breathe in the cities and towns that we live in nowadays, especially in this society. You start with 5 minutes. Even if you have to lock yourself up in your car and do it, you start with 5 minutes. You're going to be confronted with noise, thoughts, all of those thoughts that come in racing, the same ones that you brought in with your broken-hearted ass. They're going to follow you right into that session. Refocus. Each day, your higher self, is going to ask you for a little more time. And it's not like you're going to be pushing yourself, oh, I got to do 3 more reps. No. You're going to want to do it. Because when your higher mind starts to expose to you who you are, what direction to go to, it's you. You know, if something is benefiting you, you're going to do it. And that's the reason most of us stay attached to these broken-hearted, cracked up relationships, because somewhere in there's a fear that the benefits of staying around, wallowing by yourself, are going to outweigh the fact that you're alone. And you're not alone. And as corny as and fucking stupid as that may sound, the more you get in tune with your higher self, the more you realize that you're not alone, the more of an aura that you generate, and the more beautiful things that you start attracting to yourself, including people. You know, most of us really start doing this for the wrong reasons. I want a boyfriend, I want a girlfriend, I want a nice car, I want to be rich. Hey, if that's what motivates you, fine. But in the end, if you're truly in tune with your higher self, none of that is going to matter after a while. And it'll happen anyways, but it isn't going to matter. So you start meditating. Second of all, you journal. You write these things down, whether it's on your phone, on a sticky post pad, on an actual journal. You have to write these things down, and you got to let your feelings out as well. Why? Because if you don't let your thoughts out, they're basically going to sit in your mind and they're going to fester. They're going to fester in there, and they're basically going to ferment, and it doesn't turn into wine. It rots into some nasty shit. It's not wine. It doesn't get better with time. They fester. So you got to get them out. I always say the best advice you can get is from yourself. When you let it out, your higher mind starts to reveal the answers that you've been seeking. So you journal, you write these things down. You can also follow your progress. And let me tell you something, there's something about writing things down. I don't know what it is, but us monkeys have been doing it for thousands of years. Write it down, it works. Number 3, you got to feed yourself. You have to feed yourself. And you know what? Shame on you if you got nothing to feed yourself with, because we live in a society today where there is no lack of information. There's no shortage of information. Literature, podcasts, documentaries, endless. And you ask yourself, well, what is the right information? You're going to know that because you're already going to be in tune with your higher self, slowly but surely. And it's kind of like watching a TV when you channel surf. You're flipping through the channels. Just by seeing it for half a second, if you're ready to go to the next channel. That's your subconscious mind working there. So it's pretty much like that. Feed yourself in that manner. Number 4, really important, because this could really throw a monkey wrench in everything. Keep your mouth shut. Don't share it with nobody. You got to picture yourself as a little seed just germinating out of the ground. How much does it take to damage a little seed that's just coming out of the ground? It doesn't take much. Easy. So shut up. Don't talk to anybody about it. Don't share it with your friends. And you definitely don't want to share it with somebody who you have any kind of animosity with or envy. Don't waste your energy on toxic people. And here's another thing about toxic people. They will slowly disappear. They will start disappearing on their own. Believe me, your energy and your aura and your demeanor and your behavior will repel them like nasty mosquitoes in the middle of a Louisiana swamp, okay? So don't sweat that. Last but not least, really important, just as important as keeping your mouth shut. Don't be discouraged when you are confronted with the silence. We are all confronted with silence when we meditate. You know, we got this period of breakthrough. We're hearing messages where we feel like we're growing, our spirit is expanding, and all of a sudden you feel what you perceive to be as like this roadblock where everything is quiet. You don't feel like anything is happening and you start to doubt. Stop right there. Stop. That silence, you got to understand that silence, you're a vessel, a broken vessel. And all of this light and information has been being poured down into this vessel. At some point, the vessel has to be replaced. That's what that silence is. When that silence is occurring, you have to understand. Worlds are being moved beneath you. Between and behind you, worlds are being shifted. So don't lose your cool. Don't doubt yourself. Don't ever doubt yourself. Things are happening that you don't understand. You just got to let them be. Got to be patient with that. So I'm sure there's still doubters watching me right now because you're hurting and you probably only got half an eye open instead of both of them. Guys, I'm a little over 3 months getting out of a 15-year relationship. And I color it nicely, getting out. I was discarded like a bubblegum wrapper. Completely blindsided, even though I knew the relationship was already awry. Doesn't matter. You always feel blindsided. And when that happens, you lose your identity. Every song, every place you went to, everything that makes you the person that you are is now null and void. Useless. You lose your identity. And I wasn't about to go through that a second time. Fuck no. No. That's why I can stand here a little over 90 some odd days later and say, here's your answer. Oh, he's disciplined. Got nothing to do with discipline. Yeah, you got to have a little discipline to want to meditate. But it has nothing to do with discipline. Anybody can push themselves and be disciplined and go to the gym and eat right. This is about your higher mind. Your higher mind is beginning to manifest itself within you. There's no shortage of information. I'm going to repeat this list one more time because I'm about to cut off here. Meditate. Journal. Feed yourself. Shut the fuck up. And don't be discouraged when you run into the silence. Believe me. Okay? And be kind to yourself. Be kind to yourself. You know, some of us don't understand what loving yourself is. I sure didn't. That shit was a foreign concept to me up until 4 months ago. 50 some odd years old and I had no idea what that was. And it was so abstract to me that I had to just basically accept it and just go with the basics. And strange things started to happen. My diet changed overnight. I have never had a disciplined diet in my entire life. I lived for carbohydrates. My blood was made of sugar. And pizza was the quintessential meal. overnight like a flash. How many times did I try to curb my diet in my lifetime? Lasted 3 days. 3 days until I crossed that pizza parlor window. The second thing that happened, I started a gym regimen. What the hell is that all about? 5 days a week. I'm like a crackhead in the gym now. So things are going to happen to you that are called timeline jumps. You will start jumping timelines. You will start shifting yourself into different realities. You will start calibrating your vibration. I'm not going to get too deep into that because we've already covered a lot of things. But that's what it's about. It's maintaining your vibration, your frequency. And there may be a lot of things that you wanted to do throughout your life that subconsciously you kind of just had them back there. And that's kind of what I think happened to me. That's why those things happened, because they were wants, desires that I had, but I never really paid attention to them. And I'm starting to realize that that's usually how you get what you want. You can't let your wants, what you want, be filled. You can't let the space of your wants be filled by your desires. Because when your desires fill the space of what you want can't fill the space. It's kind of like a paradox, but anyways. So there's your roadmap, there's your game plan. Follow me for other shows. In the meantime, keep surfing. There's other people out there who are enlightened, who talk about frequencies, who talk about their higher mind, who talk about the higher self. So I'm not the only one. I'm just one of those people who are getting out of the pit with you, rather than maybe you sitting listening to someone who's up at the top of their plateau telling you to wish positive thoughts, which is hard for some people. It's pretty hard sometimes to get up in the morning and be grateful for flowers, for the air, especially if you suffer from anxiety. That's hard to do. And I'm going to address that at some other time, because not all of us are designed the same way, Some of us wake up in the morning and our minds are at war. But in order to address that, you got to be able to walk, and you start walking by starting to meditate. Okay, guys? My name's Renee. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a psychologist. I'm a survivor, just like you. And I hope to see you soon. Peace out.